Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. 1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly, cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
Hey. Yeah. Let's see how you do under pressure. Oh. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better.
Okay, we're doing this PHP Ugly episode 371. This is our little podcast that we get together every week, talk about the PHP programming language, the PHP community, and our wonderful company, PHP Architect. I am one of your hosts, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, as always, is my good friend, John Congdon.
Man, I was rocking out with the music, and then all of a sudden it just cut off, and I was like, whoa.
I know, it's kind of an abrupt end, right? Like, I feel like I want to stop it before, but I do like that other song now, so I need to do a little fade out or something.
Yeah. I'm thinking the same
thing. You get your head banging, and all of a sudden it's like...
I guess we're live now.
Yeah, he's fallen a little bit, right? I think he hit his high mark in his career doing the PHP Ugly intro. Harry Mack.
He being Harry Mack.
He being Harry Mack, and now he's selling cars.
Yep, car salesman. Should we share that in the?
Yeah, let's share that because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's already in Discord. If you're not in our Discord community already, please join us. discord.phpugly.com. We're in there all week. Lots of fun. Earlier, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, somebody shared a commercial of Harry Mack selling cars, and
I believe that
we had a little fun back and forth with it. It was good.
Yeah. So check out if you're listening to the audio podcasts, check out the show notes for this show. It'll be in there. It's a Mitsubishi ad, and it was cool to see Harry Mack. It popped up. I forget how I stumbled across. I'm like, wait a minute, is that Harry Mack? So yeah, it was good. Okay, we got to finish our paperwork here. So yeah, as John said, if you want to be part of the show, you can join us on any platform and chat with us during the show. But we have a Discord that gives you some elevated privileges, like you can help us title the show. We already got titles coming in, and the Discord's there all week. A lot of great PHP developers in there, so pop in there and join us. We also need to thank some sponsorship, honeybadger.io, who's been with us for a long time, as well as our supporters on Patreon, which if you become a supporter on Patreon, you get a special channel in our Discord. You also, depending on what level, if it's the $5 level or higher, you also get become a subscriber to PHP Architect. So the digital subscription. I think that's it. Did I miss anything? I always feel
Nope.
like I'm missing something.
No.
All right.
So to clear things up, Harry Mack does say that we record on Thursday nights. We have obviously switched it, and we've been recording at 3:00 Pacific time now for a month or so.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. But we try to make it look like it's night. We dim our lights and, you know.
I'm in my little cave, so I don't have any windows in my office, so it's
Oh, really?
always the same time of day. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little cave in here. But it's fine. Yeah. I'm liking it.
How did they make a room without any windows in there? Is it like an interior?
Yeah, so
the compound is so big you have interior rooms?
Yeah, it's a room within a room. Yeah. It's like no, it was one of those double car garages, but it was like one in front of the other. It wasn't side by side. So they just lopped off half of it and made it into a room, but they didn't put any ventilation. They didn't put any windows. They didn't put any AC in here. So it's just a empty room. But I fill it with PHP love every day.
So did you or are you adding AC to it, like running AC?
I'm very close to doing it. So they have those modular AC units, right? Where you can I have central air, and I just don't know what it would take to get an air duct in here. And I also don't want to run the AC for the entire house just to cool down my office, which typically runs a little hotter than the rest of the house. So I'm thinking about getting one of those modular units installed. And I think last summer it was rough. It was a rough summer. Now I can always go outside my house, especially now that I'm using a laptop. That's another thing. Like since going from the desktop, the Pop! OS machine, which I still love. We'll talk about that a little later on. Back to the laptop, I've re-elevated that, that option of, okay, I'm taking my laptop, I'm sitting out in the living room and working in the living room. So I do that occasionally.
Sounds like you just need to knock out that wall in front of you and put a roll-up door right there.
That would be perfect, right? Yeah. So kind of along that same line, the reason I'm thinking, maybe I'll finally move on the AC unit for in here. Like I had a call today after 3 months, maybe 4 months of going back and forth with the city. I'm finally getting my solar put in on Friday. Not tomorrow, but next Friday. So I'm getting solar, and the cool thing about it is I'm getting the Tesla batteries. So I'm completely off the grid when I'm running off my batteries, which ironically enough, it was like perfect timing. Earlier this week or at the end over the weekend, at some point, we lost power to our house for like an hour or two. And I was telling the current wife, I'm like, damn, if we had those Tesla batteries, they'll be chugging along. All the neighbors, it was the whole general area. It wasn't just our house. It was the whole general area. I'm like, all our neighbors would be envious of us because we could just like turn up the music and just play it loud.
You get to listen to what we're listening to now. Dang it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I lost power for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 5 to 10 minutes. It was really brief, but I'm like messaging everyone. I just lost power, and I never told anybody when it came back on. Like, I need a little break right now. It actually happened this week. I got sick on Sunday, like fever, the whole thing. Like went to bed. It really came home from. My kid had a baseball thing. Came home, and then all of a sudden, just downhill quick. Fever. Went to bed with chills, and just was there, like for all night. Monday wasn't any better, and So when I lost power, I'm like, you know what? I'm not supposed to be at work right now anyway. I need I need a little break here.
Yeah. So if you don't know, here in Southern California, where John and I reside, we've been getting a lot of rain. I don't know if it's the most rain we've gotten, but it's a lot of rain. And understand, like Southern California is not built for rain. It just isn't. It doesn't drain well. Things just flood. But yeah, we're doing well. I assume you guys are holding up with all the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're so people are hearing across the country how bad it is. And yes, it's not great, but it's really different areas. And like the area I specifically live in, where it's a little more elevated. I actually live on a big hill, so I don't really have a whole lot of water that pools
Mhm,
around my house. It all goes down to the neighbors at the bottom of the hill.
mhm.
Uh, but I appreciate the people that have reached out. We've had
Yeah.
listeners reach out. I've had family reach out asking if everything's okay. I'm like, yep, luckily we're fine. It's just water.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm been It's funny because the house we moved out of, these sort of rains were a problem because it would always find its way into the house, and yeah, we'd have some like flooding inside the house. That happened a couple times, where it was like, oh man, what are we gonna do now? I used to put like sandbags around the outside of my house.
Trying
But
whatever you could, but it was
that,
coming up to your foundation, wasn't it?
yeah, I think that's what was happening, and I disclosed it when I sold it to the people, and there was no hiding it because the floor was like a little messed up,
Hmm.
and I just let them know. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what the problem is exactly, but I think I know what's happening. Actually, I don't think it was. Nah, I'm not going to get into that. It was a couple things, but my new house, uh, it's weird because we've been here for a couple years now, and I still have that anxiety when it rains. Like, okay, shoot, it's hope it doesn't rain too much. And now my new house, I literally have like this whole trench that runs down the side of my house. That is like it would have to be a river there before it flood my house. But yeah. So how about work? How's work going? You said you were a little sick earlier, but got things moving.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very busy week. Uh, let's talk about PHP Architect.
Okay,
Um,
talk about PHP Architect.
I happened to be researching some other stuff, doing some reading, and you and I started this business 12 years ago now, 10 and a half years ago, whatever
Jesus,
it's
can you
been.
believe it? Jesus
Uh,
Christ! I'm under
11 and a
attack.
half years. I can't do math. Uh, Late 2012. We met with a lawyer back then who recommended, you know, you have this partnership, but somebody needs to be CEO. There needs to be somebody that makes the decisions. And when we sat down at that time, there's three of us. And all right, I took on the CEO role, you took on the CTO role, and then the third person ultimately left before we actually did anything with the business. So it's just you and I. I've always hated that. It's always been like, I hate when clients or somebody looks at us and they're like, okay, John's the boss and Eric works for him. And it's not that way at all. Eric and I cannot have built this business without each other. He brings so much to the table that I can't do. And I just didn't like the way that view came across. So as I was reading some other things, I found out that co-CEOs are a thing. So I talked to Eric, what was it, yesterday, day before? And
Yes, yeah.
we decided to change up our organizational structure. Not that there was structure there anyway, but just elevating us to where there's no like question. We are co-founders of Diego Dev. We didn't found PHP Architect, obviously. Eric pointed that out to me because I'm not very smart. So we decided co-CEOs. We are already 50-50 partners in the business, so it just made sense. We both handle different parts of the business.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I do appreciate that, and it has been some, a topic I've thought of in the past as well. I'm not going to act like it never bothered me. Um, but it, I'm still not sure co-CEO is a real thing. But we'll go with it.
I mean, I found multiple articles talking about it, and it made sense from what I was reading.
Yeah. And I mean, John's not exaggerating. We had a client that we'd be in meetings. They're like, "Well, should I take this to John?" I'm like, "No, fuck John. No, you're talking to me. You don't need John. Take this to John." Yeah. Yeah.
Should I
just like,
check with him?
yeah, it's just like the perception, because I mean, it is the organizational structure of a normal business that, the CEO is the top, and then you have your other chief executive officers of whatever, or the chief officers of whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, it kind of bugged me a little bit, but I never, like, I rarely use my title. I rarely ever talk about my title. So,
It comes up when you're filling out forms. When you do talk to people, it does come up occasionally, but it's always bothered me. So I'm happy that we, did that.
Yeah. So yeah, we had our little moment yesterday where we both changed our titles on LinkedIn. Which LinkedIn did have a co-CEO drop down in their drop down. So it's like, oh, okay. I guess it's so yeah, two CEOs and I don't know. I don't want to. I want to just end it right there. No.
Corey added a nice title suggestion: discord.phpugly.com. Suggested 2 CEOs is better than one. Good.
No, you go. You're going.
Speaking of the business, PHP Tech right around the corner. What are we at? 74 days.
Gee.
74 days. Getting super excited about that. We added our virtual pass last night or yesterday. So you can now go and purchase your live streaming pass. We did a little different this year in that you get a live stream pass where you're going to be able to be in our Discord channel. You'll be able to ask the speaker questions. They'll go through our moderators. So whoever's sitting in the room, doing the videography will ask the questions on your behalf. So that's on sale. But something else I realized, and I talk about it a lot, I am a terrible business person. Last year when we were announcing tech, I brought up, why don't we allow people to write an article in exchange for a free ticket? And first of all, I'm shocked that wasn't taken up way more than it was.
Me too. Because that's a lot of money. Like we pay for the articles, but this is over triple what we pay normally if you consider the price of the ticket.
So when we did that, we pay, if you don't know already, if you ever want to write an article for PHP Architect, any topic, you don't have to be an expert, just want to share information. We pay $175 for an article of around 2,500 words. And we did instead of taking the cash, you can get a ticket, which had a value of anywhere from $500 for the blind early bird up to $750 today, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I brought that up to you, I honestly thought our cost per person was way lower. I really looked at the raw cost for a person to be there. We have to pay for 3 lunches, a couple of hors d'oeuvre nights for our game nights, the shirt, the elephant, swag bag.
Right.
So I tried to take all those costs into account, and I came up with a figure. I'm like, it's going to cost us an extra, $75 to $100 on top of the article. So instead of paying that out, it's kind of a wash that way. Boy, was I wrong. Man, you got to take everything into account. Speaker travel, employee travel, hotel rooms for all those people, like everything costs so much money. And ideally, we would have a lot more sponsors to offset a lot of those costs, but the reality is it's just so hard to cover those costs.
So this is the elephant you will be getting.
Oscar
the elephant. Yes, we did name him Oscar. He has a little compass rose on his side, PHP Tech 2024. I'm excited. They're here. They're in the super secret PHP Architect location, and they'll be in everybody's swag bag. It's for everybody asking. We have no plans of selling them. We have no plans. Whatever doesn't get passed out, we will send to Elon Musk to put it into orbit. Bunch of PHP elephants orbiting the Earth.
Oh man, I hope you're.
That was something actually kind of cool. NorCal Kid, their partner, they're studying to be. It doesn't matter. They're really into NASA and space and doing some things in space. And they got an internship with NASA where they were doing a bunch of intern things. I think one of the things they were doing is translating. There you go. NorCal Kid is letting you know the astromicrobiology is their study focus. Anyways, they were doing translations of documents and stuff. They got to, so they're in Northern California. I think it was NASA paid for them to go to Florida, stay in Florida a couple of days.
That makes sense. That is a hostile environment.
And watch the rocket launch, which actually ended up being delayed, and it actually went off last night. So that was they were on, they were part of everything, and just had to be really exciting for them. I'm very, very happy they got that opportunity to do it. Hell, I want to go see a rocket launch, but I'm really happy they got that opportunity to go do that. That was kind of cool.
It's one thing my father-in-law got to watch a lot of shuttle launches out on a boat in the middle of the ocean because he was in the Coast Guard. So, patrolling the area, but being out there and watching it,
that had been cool
up close. Yeah. Never got a chance to do that. Would be neat.
All right. Why don't we take a moment and let's drop some sponsorship knowledge on you guys, and we'll be right back.
Thanks to our friends at honeybadger.io for sponsoring this podcast. Monitoring, like web development, can be complicated. There are tons of tools and techniques, but you just want to know that your app is up and that your customers are happy. When your customers encounter a problem, you need clear, actionable intelligence, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why they built Honeybadger, the monitoring tool we always wanted. A tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't, so that you can keep shipping code, know when critical errors occur, and which customers are affected. Respond instantly when your systems go down. Improve the health of your systems over time and fix problems before your customers can report them. Honeybadger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Be the hero of your team and sign up for a free trial and start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. Setup takes as little as 5 minutes. See what you've been missing and fix it. Once again, that's www.honeybadger.io.
Thanks, Honeybadger.
Thank you, Honeybadger.
So, can we talk some code? You ready to talk code? Or?
Sure. Let's talk code.
So, I do. So I'm leading into code. I got an interesting message from one of our clients this week. It said, "Hey, what's the new person's name?" I'm like, "Mike Page." And this is the high up person. This is the person I always talk to. They reply, they're like, "Is it a real person?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Is it a real person?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, he's a little stiff, seems kind of boring, but no, I think he has a heartbeat. If that's what you're asking." And then he sends me the link on LinkedIn. He's like, "If you look up Mike Page on LinkedIn, it's like some recruiter." So he thought we were going through this recruiter and just like getting like scrubs or something in and out. I'm like, no, he's he's a real boy. So
Speaking of, before you move on to code, I am so proud of our team. I happened to see he opened his first pull request yesterday, I think it was. Working for us for less than a week, already has a pull request open, which speaks a ton about our team and the fact that we have the tool set up for people to get up and running quickly, able to convey how the system works, and for him to already be committing code back to us was phenomenal. And then seeing the feedback that was given to him on the pull request from you and other members on the team, I couldn't be happier. It was good.
Yeah, it definitely felt good to see him up and running. That was actually one of the things, like the project he's going to be working on. Now he's not so much up and running with that project yet, but the project he's going to be working on is a big project for us. It's one of the bigger projects that we work with, and so it had been a while since I had gotten it up and running, and I had not done it since moving back over the laptop, which is a whole thing we're going to get into as well. So the laptop I'm on is the Mac OS M2, and we bought them last year for tech. If you listen to the show for a while, you know that I had some problems with my desktop. I'm a procrastinator, and I kept trying not to fix it. Technically, still haven't fixed it, but it stays up and running, most of the time. I just need to blow it away is what I need to do. So I'm back on the M2 laptop, and I'm trying to get this thing up and running, and it's just been so long since I'd gotten that project up and running, and I was like, yeah, there were a couple things that needed to be cleaned up in the documentation, but yeah, we got Mike, going and looking at code and figuring it all out, and he had his test environment up and running. I do like that. Like we're not like elite level, tool chain people yet, but we got a pretty good, well thought out approach. And it's funny because so another client, I had to get a project up and running, and this is a new client with a fresh project for us. It's not a new project for them. Matter of fact, that makes it more difficult, right? Because it's a very established product with a very big database and all these other bells and whistles. So I was getting that one up and running, and man, this is the problem with ADHD. I'm thinking of 4 different things I want to talk about, and I can't figure out which part I want to talk about first. So let me go on with I'm going to go down this one. When I came over to back to the Mac, I on the old Pop OS machine, I was using Lando, and I was a heavy user of Lando, which is a Docker, a framework to like bring up Docker containers for your projects. I talked about it many times. I still stand behind Lando. Think it's a great product. When I was at Laracon US last year, I heard they talked about this Herd app that was coming out, but it was only in Mac OS, and I wasn't on Mac OS at the time, so I didn't really pay attention to it. But when I moved over, I'm like, hey, let me check out what this Herd is, and it's like Valet. It's very similar to Valet. If you're in the Laravel ecosystem, you know what Valet is. Herd's a good product. I mean, it's pretty well thought out. It has a nice little interface where at the time when I was using Valet way back in the day, it didn't. Valet was just a command line. I think they eventually came out with something, but Herd's nice. And I guess in Laravel EU, they released a Herd Pro because everything in Laravel ecosystem ends up with a price tag on it somehow. Which I'm not knocking. I mean, we're all developers, and here's the free version. I mean, there's still Herd, the regular Herd. So I've been using that. And I was like starting thinking, I'm like, this works fine. So Herd uses your system, right? There's no virtualization, there are no Docker containers. It's using your system. You install the PHP versions on your system, you install MySQL on your system, and it uses all that. It does allow you to switch between the version of PHP. So you can assign different versions of PHP to different projects. You can do that. The problem with it is your command line is you've got to do some stuff to make sure you're using the right version of PHP on the command line. Or otherwise, you have to go into Herd and keep switching Herd back and forth. And I bring that up because the new project I'm working on is at 7.4, PHP 7.4. So I found myself this past week, as I was bringing up this new project, I had to keep going into Herd and changing my preferred PHP version to 7.4 so that I could run some command line artisan commands. And it's just frustrating, right? And eventually I created a symlink to the old PHP, so I could just use the symlink. But there were other things like this is a little frustrating about this setup of using your system for everything.
Mm-hmm.
As I was bringing up, as I was helping another developer who I'm gonna leave nameless right now because I'm gonna make fun of him in a little bit, but they wanted to use Lando. I'm like, yeah, here, let me throw together a Lando config file for you real fast. And it was so quick. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how easy this is. I'll just put this here. We needed to add Elasticsearch to it, so like, okay, let me just add that to it. And they're using MariaDB and not MySQL, so okay, just change that and send it to them. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? As I was doing that, and as I was going through the Lando up, Lando down sort of stuff, I'm like, you know what? I think this is better because again, that Lando config file can be in the repo, and all the developers can use that Lando file. However,
there's always a however.
There's always a however, and this is where I keep saying I'm on the Mac OS M2. Apparently, the Mac OS M series, M1 and M2, they don't have the same sort of Docker love as the other Intel versions do, or even the Intel versions. So I've run into a lot, including the Lando file I just handed off to another developer, where the Lando file actually spun up, which I don't know how that happened, but I was trying to run Docker containers because before I created the Lando file, I was just creating individual Docker containers because this client has a very specific version of Elasticsearch they use, and it is a issue. Like they're like, you can't go above this version because things break. We need to figure that out. We need to fix it, but you need to be on this particular version, which is fine. That's the whole idea behind Docker. And there was like it wasn't happening on Mac OS. Like all the Docker containers I try to bring up, it's like, oh yeah, we can't find one that fits your architecture. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Because it's not x86, it's ARM.
Yeah. Now Lando seemed to handle it. Like Lando said, hey, we couldn't find your ARM version. so I guess when the Mac OS M2 reports, it reports itself as a Linux machine on ARM, and it says, "Hey, we can't find your ARM version, so we're going to give you the Intel version. Just see if it works." You know, I am paraphrasing, but that's that's what it kicks out. It lets you know it wasn't able to find your exact version. So now I'm like, yeah, now I'm thinking I need to test the Lando implementation on my laptop, and I think if it works, I think maybe I'll go back to Lando. I'll keep Herd around and just throw it on like a different port. So because I need port 83 for one of them, I'll throw Herd on a different port because Herd is nice. Like if you just want to spin something up really quick, look at something, and whatever, do just a static site or something. You don't need a bunch of Docker files. But like I added a PHP tech to the PHP net repo. So if you go to php.net/conferences, you should now see PHP tech there. And I didn't need to create a bunch of Docker files. Now, fortunately, that repo it runs just using the PHP web server, and it tells you how to do it all in the README. But something like that, right? I don't need a whole setup for that. I just need something brief. So I'll probably keep a Herd around for that. But yeah, I'm going back to Lando. I feel like I already have the config files in all the projects, so it'll be super easy.
I have an interesting M2 issue that I keep dealing with as well, but mine's around NPM, and it's been driving me crazy for a long time. I may have talked about it before, but during the NPM build, one of the apps in this in this application, one of the view apps is causing it to not build. It like just freezes up. And I ended up going through based on a suggestion by one of the front end devs, just start deleting the apps out of this directory one by one until it builds. And sure enough, there was one that stopped it, and nobody can figure out why. Like there's nothing that seems that special about it.
Yeah.
But now I just know I delete the directory, do my NPM build, and then restore it through Git, and I'm done. like I just don't have that feature. Not that I need it, but
I'm telling you, I'm not in love. Like before we moved to Pop OS, we were on the Mac, and I kind of felt like I wasn't in love with the Mac interface, but I'm like, I'm like, if this is the system I end up with, for the rest of the time, it's fine. Like it was Linuxy enough for me. Like I had all my Linux tools. I was good with the interface, and my Mac had like these little quirks, but I didn't really think about it too much. And then I went to Pop OS, and the Pop OS machine had its little quirks. And for some reason, like when it's Linux and it has quirks, it's like more frustrating. It's like, oh, this is why nobody likes Linux, because this shit doesn't work. And but coming back to the Mac, I'm like realizing like, no, this thing really has a lot of quirks that piss me off. The Mac, that is. Like I'm having all these like weird issues. I remember I had this issue way back on the trash can Mac, where occasionally my speakers will just start doing this like turning on, turning off, turning on, turning off, and making this like feedback noise.
Really?
I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, it happens on. I remember it back with the trash can Mac, and it happens when I undock the Apple, the laptop, and then I go to redock it, and it's powered on. Like it's working. Something with the audio driver just like wigs out. I don't know.
See, I'm having similar with the Pop machine. Like I just rebooted it. Well, my power rebooted it the other day. I go and jump on it, and my Bluetooth doesn't work. And I've noticed this in the past. Like on a reboot, Bluetooth, I cannot turn it on. Like I bring the settings up, slide it over, it looks like it turns on, but as soon as you refresh it, it's off. And I end up having to go to the command line, RM mod the BT USB module, and then re-enable it, and then it works. But it's like I happen to kind of understand and know the steps to do it, but if you're a regular user, like if it was my parents or my wife or anybody, like no, they would have no clue how to get that working. They'd be so frustrated.
It's funny. I actually had an issue with Bluetooth on this Mac this week where it wasn't connecting to my keyboard. And we've been talking about this for a while, the Bluetooth keyboard and the drawbacks to it. It wasn't connecting to the keyboard, and I couldn't get it to forget that keyboard so I could repair it. I'm like, oh my God, okay, fine, you can't connect. Let me delete the keyboard. And it just wouldn't give me any option. Like the little button over there wasn't there. And it was, oh man, I was like losing my mind with that one. Yeah. And speaking of losing your mind, hold on. Speaking of, I want to put this out there for the record. John's been guilty of this as well. I get yelled at a lot with my Vim because I bounce around a lot and I use relative line numbers. So meaning when I go up and down, all the line numbers change and like somebody's trying to tell me to go somewhere. And I'm like, I never understood the frustration so much. It's like, okay, just ask me to stop moving and tell me where to go. And I've gotten a lot of shit for that. I use Vim bindings everywhere, right? I mean, not only in my editors, but in my browser and even on the command line, which I do a lot of stuff on the command line. So I have within my ZSH shell, I have Vim mode enabled so I can move around. And today, the certain developer I was working with, it was driving me insane. Like trying to get him to, we were trying to run tests actually on this new repo, and he had to back up to a certain spot to change some characters. It was like, oh my God, just hit the uppercase B. Just why are you going Jesus Christ? It was driving me crazy. I was like doing everything I could to like refrain myself to not be that person. But it's just like, oh, you got to keep hitting the arrow? Seriously, you got to keep hitting that thing? Just go backward.
Okay. Last week, you got me to install the Vimian plugin for Chrome. Hate it.
Why is that? What is it to hate?
Mostly in our Zendesk application, they already had the movement keys just fine. But for them, I think it's X to mark it, like to check it off, except for X closes your tab. So I'm in there, I'm like, okay, moving around, X. Where'd it go? What the heck? Command Shift T to bring it back. Did it do it again? X. I'm like, what? Like I forgot that the Vimian was installed at that point. After 3 times, I'm like, wait, and then I realized, so now I had to go disable it, and it was such a pain.
Yeah, they're exceptions. You don't have to
tried.
Well,
I tried doing the exception, like don't do the X on this page, and it didn't work for me. Like it still kept closing.
I will typically just have a star exception for like not Gmail. There are certain sites where it's kind of the same thing. Like either the Vimian doesn't work well, or like you said, the site already has its kind of navigation. So I'll just go in there and just star that site and say, hey, don't use Vimian on that site.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I use it. I like it. And like I said, you need to get on the ZSH Vim mode bandwagon. I'll show you that one because that one I freaking love.
I had it for the longest time, and I think on Linux I had it, and then I never got it over here.
Oh, my ZSH, install that. That's the easiest way to get all that stuff up and running.
That's what I use.
Oh, cool. All right.
Before you go on, I have a question for viewers. If you're still watching and listening, or if you're not, come over to Discord afterwards and let me know. when we acquired PHP Architect, we also acquired MailChimp. I have a love-hate relationship with MailChimp because I
We didn't
used
acquire MailChimp. We
We're big time. We acquired MailChimp. the account in MailChimp that came along with it. I mean, I used MailChimp way back in the day, and then now having to use it again, and we've been using it for a couple years, and it's fine. I interact with the APIs, it works, but there are some quirks with it. I've been getting way deeper into DMARC, SPF, and BIMI, which is all around email security and who's allowed to send as you and who's not. And MailChimp just doesn't play nicely with DMARC. So I'm looking for alternatives. If you use a mail marketing system, especially if it has an API that you like, let me know. I'd love to look into it. I actually started looking into one called Campaigner because we have friends that work at Ziff Davis, and Ziff Davis owns Campaigner, so I wanted to show some love. But oh my gosh, they have their pricing tiers set up, which makes sense. Most companies do. But you're not allowed to have API access until you're at the third level, which is over 100,000 emails, like $650 plus a month. And it's like, no, I'm actually trying to save money from MailChimp because I've seen lots of other services that are cheaper. But man, not stepping up that big for an API.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, there's no way around, like, we need a service like that. And, we're just trying to protect our brand. We're trying to protect the people we mail to. We don't want people mailing as us. That's the big thing. So
yeah. So a couple of years ago when I set up DMARC, I didn't know what I was doing, right? I just knew it was a thing. Let me get it set up. And in your DMARC record, you say, send notifications to this email address. And I just had to come to support. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, yeah, send me this. And every once in a while, I would open up the XML and I'd try understanding what was happening. Never fully understood it. Actually, barely scratched the surface on understanding. So more often than not, they're in support systems. So that's where I got really comfortable with the Vim, JK, and the X. Like, mark them all, delete. Mark them all, delete. And I finally moved over to a service where all of them go there. You get nice reports and everything. And I happened, on like the last day we were receiving these things, saw an email come from somebody saying, will you stop emailing this address? Because it would come into us and Zendesk would send an email back saying, hey, we've received your mail, expect a response and whatever. And he's like, that's not how DMARC is supposed to be used. You need to be using another service for that. I wrote back, I'm like, sorry, I thought I fixed that. He's like, yeah, it looks like you did now. Thank you.
Okay. I asked John before the show, and you guys let me know how you feel about this. People in Discord, we're gonna give this a try. But I wanna review a product. I'm always trying new and shiny things, and this is one of them that was brought up to me. Last week and the week before, we talked about how I use the grouping in Chrome, right? So I'll group everything in Chrome. Kind of works for what I'm trying to accomplish. So I'll put a bunch of tabs in a group, and now you can save those groups. So as I'm working on something like PHP Tech, I'll create a group for PHP Tech, put all my tabs in there, and it works. Doesn't, like, there are drawbacks occasionally where, like, I kind of need a different, like, how you create profiles. So occasionally I'll create a profile. So PHP Architect is an example where it has its own Chrome profile. That way I can log into things like Twitter and Mastodon and not have to log out of my current account, log back in, that sort of thing. So these are like things I do, right? Groups of tabs and profiles of browsers, or using different browsers. Like I'll use Brave for PHP Architect and Chrome for my normal stuff, and it was just like it was kind of messy, but it's whatever. Somebody pointed me to a browser that I started playing with, and initially I was like, this is horrible. I'm never going to use this. And I just didn't use it for like a week. And something came up. I'm like, hey, I think that was a feature in that new browser. Let me go check it out. And I've been giving it an honest goodness try. It's called Arc, ARC, Arc browser. Let me share this with you guys. Because, John, I think you might like some of this. It's weird. Like, it's very weird. It's a different way of thinking. I'm going to do my best not to do any information leak, and I guess I'm not going to share that with you guys because freaking Max decided that that's not something I'm allowed to do. What are you talking about? What?
Ask your system administrator to give you permission. Here, let me give you permission. Come on, that's supposed to be a joke.
I mean, I don't know what's going on. It won't even let me click the share button now. Okay, so I don't know how to explain this stuff without showing it, and this is another annoying thing about the Mac is it doesn't let me. It's not letting me share anything now, so that's going to be a problem a little later on in the show. But so, anyways, I'll show you later over Zoom, John. I went through everything to make sure I didn't have like information leak, and I wanted to make sure everything's set up well, so that I could kind of explain everything. But it's the biggest kind of hurdle with Arc to get your head around is that there are no bookmarks, right? They don't do bookmarks. They do these things like tabs that you pin, what you can pin in Chrome, and then everything else you use. And you set up these profiles. I cannot explain this. I'm gonna have to show it to you guys. I'll have to figure this out for next week. I promise you guys next week I'll show you our Arc because I can't explain it. I don't know how to explain this browser. It's like too many things. And I don't know if I like it yet either. It is a Chromium based browser. So it's not like this, you don't have to worry about compatibility as far as websites go. Don't try it if you haven't used it. Wait until next week when you see it. I promise you guys to get this. I'll get this fixed next week, and I guess I should have tested that before we started the stream, and I didn't. So,
but you shut your screen often, so it shouldn't have been that big of a deal. That's
I never. Yeah, it didn't even occur to me that Mac would complain. I know Mac's just looking out for me. Trying.
All right, I'm sharing a couple more links in Discord. Had somebody on one of the teams I work on share like just so you know this is here. And it's one of those good reminders, like the PHP type comparison tables and understanding how the different like internal PHP functions will interpret variable types, right? When things are exact or not, how they're coerced from strings to integers, and when you're comparing things of different types. So good little table to have just back of mind. And then the other one is about order of operations and just something to keep in mind.
You're coming around. Speaking of order of operations, didn't I hear you're starting to come around on I forget what we call them now. Named what? Not named variables.
The named parameters.
Named parameters. Yeah.
I'm so torn on them. Not fully opposed to them. Definitely use them if you're, changing like the third or fourth parameter. and the rest are going to be your default and you don't need to specify them. One reason I hate them is the magazine. People are starting to use them in their code samples, and then the code sample becomes way too long, or we can't fit it within the space defined, and it's like,
oh yeah, that's a reason not to use it in your code, because it doesn't fit in the magazine print.
So I think I already have an aversion to them, and I don't know. Why do you ask? Why do you?
Oh no, I just you talked about order of operation, and I always think of name parameter. That's why I like them. I mean, it's not like a big deal to me not to have them, and it's not like I intentionally don't pass parameters in the order they're supposed to be passed. But like when it came out, I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice actually. Like, why? Now, some of that might also come from the fact that I was in Vim. And, I think Vim read those. I feel like, I don't know. I don't even know if they read the name parameters better. I don't know. I like them. I always feel like it's like, it can't hurt to put them in. It does look like more code, but it's like, what's it matter? It's just put them in.
I think the other thing is I already have them turned on in PHP Storm. So I always see them anyway. Like I always know what they are without specifying it in the code that gets committed.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it was always visually there. So I guess it doesn't really make a difference. I think my initial concern was, actually, I don't know what my initial concern was. It was, it's going to be, it's in refactoring, right? If you use them and you're using a library or somebody else changes other parts of your code and they don't change the name parameter properly, you could be screwed. Hopefully you have automated testing, you have your CI tools that are checking that, PHP stand, we'll probably catch stuff like that. But that was my big concern, was it's going to mess with your refactoring. You can't really do it because other code may be relying on that. If you're a library, you're definitely got to be careful.
But see, that's the thing. I always thought if you're using name parameters and you're coding to those name parameters, doesn't that allow you to, like, if you refactor your code and you add a new name parameter, like at the front of the line, where it would break everybody else who's not calling the function using name parameters, it would, if you are using the name parameters when you call the function, nothing breaks. It just keeps working.
Like Kevin says, pros and cons. It's more like, as a library maintainer, if I had a field called is valid, and if you type hinted on that, or you use the name parameter, and then I wanted to change that to was validated or something stupid, and that's made up, but I can't refactor my variable name because you may have used it as a parameter, as a name parameter. That's it. Refactoring there's a cost to that. It now becomes a breaking change for library maintainers specifically. If you're doing it within your own code base, I'm sure using something like PHP Storm, where you change the parameter name, will change all of your name parameters and you're done. But obviously I can't do that on a library that you're using and change your code.
Right.
So,
all right,
just things to keep in mind.
Let's Did I just upload the wrong one? I want to thank our Patreon supporters, but I don't think John uploaded the right one. No, John didn't. It was all John's fault. That's why he's been demoted to co-CEO. He can't do it on his own. I'd like to take a moment and thank all of our supporters on Patreon. These are all wonderful.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hike up there and fly. I don't know where it's at, but it looks flyable.
Yeah, definitely anything's flyable if you run fast enough.
True.
So yeah, so thanks everybody on Patreon. I hope everybody who qualified for the PHP magazine is getting it, and I hope you're enjoying it. Let us know. I love feedback. I don't think we get enough feedback on the magazine. That's my whole thing. Like we do our best to kind of provide the community with what we think is good stuff, but like nobody ever like gives us a lot of feedback, good or bad. I mean, I'm not good at having bad feedback. I will engage with you. But yeah, we always hope that, people who read the magazine are appreciating all the hard work that goes into it from everybody. I mean, John and his current wife actually has the lion's share of the effort on that, but we have contributors all around the world who give us articles every month. Yeah, sometimes even on time, and always very nice.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Butter. I'm going back to the name parameter. That's a fascinating topic. The gracefully deprecating, like going back, add your new parameter name, and then do some logic to say if somebody is using the old one, throw a deprecation notice, and then rename it, and then it becomes a breaking change when you remove it. So fascinating idea.
That would be. I don't even know how you would do that though, right? Well, I mean, yeah, you would catch it in the method, and
you just check if the new one isn't set and the old one is, throw a deprecation notice and set the new one to the old one.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
The things you need to think about.
We keep you around.
Yeah, things you're gonna have to think about as a library maintainer.
That's it. All right, what else you got to talk about? Anything? Because my big product review, dumped.
No, we went through all the cards on my list. Look at that, all cleaned up.
I don't have anything on my list worth talking about. I can just get rid of those two. All that into it. We did not think PHP Storm already, Kevin. Keen eye or ear, should I say? No, that sponsorship deal has run out. Has run its course. We're working on a new one with them. Definitely be happy to talk about them some more. John and I still use them every day. So, yep.
Talked about them in the show without the official sponsorship. So,
I mean, I think we might even still run the ad in the magazine. We don't, honestly, I don't do it on the show. I took them out of the show, the ad out of the show, because it just takes time, right? We have to stop the show, run the ad, start the show. So it's like, all right, well, if the ad kind of expired, then we just won't worry about it. But yeah, I know we talk about them all the time. All right, I think that is going to do it. I get my injections tomorrow. I am so happy.
You said it takes a while for them to actually sink in, though, right? You get them,
so
you're in more pain for a bit.
I'm getting it in both knees now. So I get this kind of, it's like a gel, I guess, or something that they put in my knees. It's not cortisone, as we talked about. It's this gel. And because I have no cartilage in my knees, and it takes about a month to a month and a half for it to settle. And depending on, now I've only had it done 3 times, I think. And one time it was so painful, I almost went to urgent care. I'm like, oh, there's something wrong. Like it's blowing out my kneecap or something. But I pushed through. So yeah, sometimes it takes a long time, but I'll be good for tech. I know that's the math you're doing in your head. It's like I don't care about all this. Are you going to be able to set up at tech?
That's the important part. I'm glad we're on the same page there.
Yeah, make sure you get the word out, tech. It's coming up real quick, and we don't have that many tickets left. That's a lie. We have plenty of tickets left, but we could use the sales. Anything else, John?
Nope. I agree.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're watching live stream, as always, feel free. Stick around for the after show where we ramble even more. And that'll do it for episode 371. I'm Eric.
I'm John. Keep it
ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
Kevin, that's not a good enough reason. We're all introverts. Come on, man.
So, Kevin, I am too. And that's one of the reasons that I love where we have this, where we put on PHP Tech currently. It was a hotel I went to first. And the fact that my room was upstairs. So I could go to the talks. And then when I was overwhelmed by so many people around, I would go upstairs, catch my breath, take a minute to, just regain that energy, and then would go back down. So I definitely get it. It's sometimes hard being around a lot of people, but it was so worth it.
I'm going to play this. I'm going to try to play this song that we play at the beginning, that pressure one.
And then, just come hang out with us. Come say hi.
Come and hang out.
Yeah.
Hang out with the crew.
Yeah. There are so many of the people that attend these conferences are introverts by nature, but you push past it, and then game night, it's on. So much fun.
So John knows this, and we've talked about it on the show in the past. I have a straight up fear of electricity. Right? I mean, it's like a real thing. But I honest to goodness wish I didn't, because I feel like I might have become an electrician. My brother-in-law was an electrician for a while. And like so I had to have some work done today. I had a service guy come out, and before he came out, I'm like looking at stuff. I'll touch wires and stuff, things like that. But I'm looking. I'm like, I bet you I know what's wrong. I bet you that circuit's busted. And I know, like, it's like I can probably just take that circuit out, figure out where to get the new one and put the new circuit in it, and it would work.
The circuit breaker.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was a relay. But I just I can't muster up enough energy to do it, and it's one of these things like I'll change fuses. Like I'm not saying I won't change a fuse. It's an ordeal for me to change a fuse. Like I make sure everything's turned off, but uh, it's just so it was a pump for my pool. So the pool was down, and I'm like, I just felt like I knew how to do it, and I was just too much of a puss to try it. And you see the electricians come out and they have like all the little gadgets and they check for voltage and everything. And it's just like, man, I could do that. I wouldn't mind being an electrician. Maybe in my next life.
I actually just picked one of those up.
Yeah.
The little wand to check for electricity, because I have my multimeter that I use all the time, but it's like I'd rather have like just the magic little wand that says, "Yep, there's electricity in here."
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things they were using, like the little pin. It's just that and welding. I don't have any fear of welding. I actually worked at a place that had a welder. He had let me try to weld, and I just couldn't get my head around it because it's like, have you ever done welding?
No, I need to on my garage door.
Dude, it's the weirdest thing. Like he kept trying to explain it to me, and I'm sure if you do it, it becomes second nature. But like once you put the mask down, at least for me, like once I put the mask down, I can't see anything. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. You'll see it when the spark starts. It's bright enough where it'll show you. Just tap where you want to start, lift up, put your mask down, and lift back down, and then just start following the line. And I did it, but like I just couldn't figure it out. Man, yeah, there's so much stuff. There's so many things I don't know. Like I wasn't able to like teach my kids like things like how to do things to your car. Like I showed them how to like check your oil, but I never showed them how to change your oil because I've never changed my oil. And it's like simple things like that. Like,
I've done that. I hate it, so I don't do it anymore.
Right? That's the thing I tell the current wife is like there are certain things I know how to do. I just don't want to do it. That's a lot of freaking work and material, and just pay somebody to do it.
Yep. I was trying to tell my kid yesterday, I'm like, I drive my car so little, and what's the average? Like 12,000 a year for a car, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the sticker yesterday, and I put on 1,500 miles in like 6 months. And I'm like, this is how I go 2 years without an oil change, but then I go and they yell at me for not getting my oil changed in 2 years. I'm like, but I didn't put any mileage on.
I know the current Waves car, which it's a used car. I bought it. It's a pluggable hybrid, but it's a nice car. Dude, and you know what car it is, John. That thing, in all that rain we had, I had to drive down to San Diego a couple times to the airport and stuff. That car handles so well. I don't know what it is about that car. I do genuinely. I understand now why people enjoy driving certain cars, because I have my big expedition that I drive around in my truck, right? And it's a nice expedition. It's older. It's I forget how old. It's much older. It's before Wave, because I remember I had it during Wave. But it's nice. It serves me well. Dog hair can get in there, and I don't freak out. I won't let the dog in the current Waves car. But it's a nicer car, and I thought it handled well and all that. And I've been in other cars. I used to have a Camaro that I thought was like a real badass car, and I used to like how it drove. But good God, the current Waves car, it's just like, first thing, I don't know how neither of us haven't gotten a speeding ticket yet, because
there's no cops in Southern California.
I'm not even exaggerating, John. My current wife doesn't like intentionally drive fast. I'm an older person now. I have ridden on motorcycles long enough where I try to be a much more cautious driver in a vehicle, because I've had close enough accidents on my motorcycle and I've seen some pretty gnarly stuff. So I don't intentionally drive fast. I can't tell you how easy it is to get up to 95 miles an hour and not know it. and just be driving. That doesn't help that, Southern California has these 6-lane freeways that you can, fly down. But yeah, the car handled so well in that rain. I kind of didn't want to take it because I was like, I wanted my truck because, I have like the bigger tires on it. And I'm like, I should probably take my truck, but I didn't. I took their car because, it gets way better gas mileage than mine because it's a hybrid.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just, that thing just so smooth. I'm envious. Like I never wanted the car that my current wife has. Now I kind of want one for myself. I kind of want one. I could use one of these cars. I'll never be able to
One day.
afford one, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Got to pay off the current one first.
Shit.
That's where I keep looking at our car bill. I'm like, just need to get through a couple more years and get it paid off. I like not having a car bill. But then again,
By the way, I used to rock a Suzuki Samurai, man. That was my favorite. Suzuki Samurai, that was like around the world, right? That wasn't just, it wasn't a US car. So those Suzukis, they were death traps, but boy, they were so much fun. They were cheap. They were like the cheap version of a Jeep. And I had the soft top, so I just take my top off and yep. Suzuki Samurai.
Nice.
Back
Oh
in the
yeah.
day.
Man. All right.
Right. Do we have titles out there?
There's a few.
All right. Cool. You wrapping up? Is that
So-
what I'm hearing?
As you started the no, I'm sharing a story that I don't know if I want to share on the air, but I'm sharing anyway. As you started playing the intro earlier, and we were retweeting and doing all the social stuff,
Mhm.
I got a message from my mom talking about one of my stepdad's friend / band member. She said that my stepdad found out Tuesday that this guy's son murdered him Sunday night.
What?
And according to, I guess, some article, "Stop, you are killing me. Dad pleads during during son's fatal attack," deputies say.
Oh, that's so horrible.
I know. And I'm like, it's like, we're starting a show and I just read that. And I'm like, I don't know how to respond.
Yeah, that's one of those ones you need to think through a little bit.
Yeah. But
Right.
like, how do they know that? I don't know why I was trying to like hide the people's names. It's like publicly accessible.
Yeah, I get it though. All right, let me see what we have for titles here. All right, listen, Jeffrey, if you're gonna come out with like a paragraph title, it's not gonna fly. Listen to us, or we'll sell you cars like Harry Mack. 2 COs better than one. Math is hard.
Corey had one.
Yeah, I saw that on 2 COs better than one. That's the one I said. I like the actually Ennis Bucky came in with hurting Lando. I think that's a good one. Yeah, let's do hurting Lando, I guess. Arctic Boogaloo.
Like somebody said, you misspelled Lambo.
I saw that come in. I'm like, wait, did I? Wait, no, it's not Lambo. What are you talking about? All right, I think that's it. Math is hard or hurting Lando. I think hurting Lando wins. Congratulations, Ennis Bucky. If that is your real name, which it isn't, because I know you. Whatever happened to our streaming coding contract?
I've reached out like 2 or 3 times and they haven't gotten back to me. I don't know. That's weird.
That's all right. We don't have the bandwidth for it right now, anyways.
No, I agree, but it's still weird that they haven't responded.
Yeah. Need to get tech updated. Maybe I'll do that tonight. So you're grabbing, obviously being a little abstract here, but are you working on that other piece that you mentioned yesterday?
The one where I sent you the pseudocode this morning?
Yeah.
No, not. I mean,
Okay.
I can. I need
No,
you to.
It's fine. I'll work on it this weekend.
I mean, the pseudocode's there. It's more. If you help me get my local dev set up, I'll do that.
Lando start.
Oh, I saw Docker in there. I was trying to Docker up, and it just wasn't working.
Is
Actually,
there a Docker in there?
Actually, I think I was trying to sail up.
Yeah, there might be Sail in there. I might have used Sail when we were at Tech because I didn't know what you had on your system. But yeah, Lando start will probably get you there, but that's fine. I can work on it this weekend for sure. Because the only reason I thought about that is because anybody who buys a virtual pass, I mean, we'll have to manually import them, but we want that to start happening automatically because they can start looking at last year's conference like now, right? I mean, they buy it and they can just go look at it. So
ARM64 is not a supported service type. Uh-oh.
Oh, is that on the PC?
Yeah.
Yeah, damn it. This is that M2 issue I just talked about. Damn it. Maybe I will stick with Herd for a while.
Try running.
It's weird because
rebuild.
It worked for that client's project today. Damn
Lando
it.
rebuild ARM64 V8 MySQL is not a supported service type.
Well, that's the issue. That's the
try running Lando rebuild. Lando restart VVV.
You do Lando rebuild -y.
I tried that. I didn't do the -y.
That doesn't do anything. It's just the question of, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, that didn't work. Same thing.
Well, dang it. I gotten Lando up and running on that other project. I'm like, you know what? I'm going back to Lando. This is so much better.
Oh, is it .lando.yaml?
.lando.yaml. Yeah. Oh, the config file? Yeah.
You have ARM64 V8 MySQL in there. Or no, is that because I just did the other thing?
I was like, no, I didn't.
Well, let me try changing that database.
Oh, is it just the database?
It says database : ARM64 V8 MySQL.
So you know what you can do? If it's just the database, it's just run your database locally and just, you just have to address it correctly in the app as host.docker or whatever, internal.docker.
So you don't have this running on your Mac? You're running it on the POP?
No, I have it running through Herd. That's what I was talking about. I hadn't even fired up because I didn't think I was going to stay on the laptop, to be honest with you. So I wasn't interested in installing apps on here that I wasn't going to use, but I still have rebuilt my system. And I'm like, don't want to rebuild it. I'm waiting for them to come out with their new their Rust desktop and reinstall. But yeah, I have not run Lando. Matter of fact, today I think was the first time I ran Lando on here. Oh, that's not true. didn't I do a presentation on Lando? That was on my. That had to have been on my Mac. Huh. I don't know.
I don't know. This Lando config file does not look anything like what is in the documentation.
Well, I mean, Lando's going through a lot of upgrades. That's my config file that I've been carrying around for the last couple of years, and I just kind of adjust it for each project. So maybe the new config would do something. So keep in mind, we're using a recipe on that one, that Laravel recipe. So that like pulls out a lot of the web server, PHP stuff. It's all in that recipe. But you do you, man. You get it working, let me know. Or just install Herd. I think it's herd.laravel.com. I think I should put that. We talked about it enough and put that in the show notes. I got accused. I'm going to vent to the 14 people still hanging out with us. I got accused of like not promoting Laravel enough. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, first thing, we literally pay people. We're paying people to write Laravel articles for the magazine. I talk about it all the time on the show. So what, by not enough, you mean not always? Like not the only thing I talk about? Tell you.
Removing the ARM 64 v8 / part of that seems to have done it. It's now rebuilding.
Oh, really? Wait, so you're saying I did have it in there?
It was in the YAML file, whether that's from the repo or I did something. I don't know.
I'm going to check right now. Let me see. Because I actually have that project open.
And maybe I added it. I don't know.
Okay, so I've done this twice now. Twice today. I keep SSHing into my Pop! OS machine because I still do a lot of stuff over there, but I'm just in the terminal. Then I forget that I'm on a different machine, and I like start doing things like, wait a minute, this isn't making sense. Just did it again. I'm like, I know I had the project open. So you're saying if I do lando.config, where did you see the ARM64 at?
At the very top, database : under config.
No, you must have put that in there.
Yeah, I must have been having some other issue where I was trying that a long time ago.
Okay, so this did build for you.
It's in the middle of doing it right now.
Yeah, it should get through.
It's doing the health check on the database.
Right. So that's probably what you're going to... You'll probably get those same messages that just say, hey, we couldn't find an ARM version, so we put another version on there. Which I'm fine with if it works. I mean, it's not like it's production stuff. It's just dev. I mean, it's just development. So. My dog is passed out in the chair. Let me see if I can show you guys this. I'm gonna go big screen here. It's dark over there, so I don't know if you'll be able to see him or not. There. Well, where is it? Oh, you can't see her. She is passed out, snoring like a drunken sailor or something.
So you're saying that this should, in theory, work?
You want to share
Outside of the database not working? Yeah, it works.
Yeah. So only thing you have to do is remember to prefix everything with Lando. But yeah, you just do Lando artisan for your artisan command, Lando PHP for your PHP stuff.
Yeah, the database did not come up, so we still got to figure that part out.
Well, the database didn't come up at all?
No. Lando
Okay.
logs S database.
Okay, I'm gonna try
Upgrade
spelling
after
this
crash
out.
is not supported. I think I just need to rebuild it.
All right, I'm gonna try. I'm trying, just because I'm curious now. Since I already have Herd turned off because I was doing that other thing. See,
So the port
oh
forward.
my god, dude! I can't even begin to explain to you. That's what I didn't talk about. I should have talked about that. That Docker issue with the Intel Mac. So the developer I was helping bring it up was on the Intel Mac, and he was doing the Lando config, and the build was so slow. And even the build on my M2 is slow compared to the Pop OS machine. Like I'm still rebuilding. Like I would have been way done by now. So how do you know your database didn't come up? Did you just land on MySQL and it didn't?
Because I looked at the logs and the log said nope.
Interesting. Yeah, that whole Docker Mac issue is a real issue. I don't care what anybody says. And it's still kind of an issue. Like now. I'm still waiting for this thing to finish building. It's incredible. Why the hell is it so slow on Mac? I don't understand. So stupid.
Something I don't see in this Lando config is the username and password for MySQL.
So since you're using it's just root and no password. So since bring it up again and do a Lando MySQL and see if it drops you into the database. Because mine worked. I'm in my database. Show databases. I mean, there's nothing in there. You still have to do your migrations and everything.
So Lando stop first.
Yeah, well, no, if you're running, it's fine. Just do Lando space MySQL.
No, I could see that it with Lando logs, I could see that MySQL just stopped. If you're joining us right now, we are not recording the podcast right now. We're just hanging out.
I would share my screen, but that doesn't seem to work. Maybe I can't share anything. I should go away and come back and see if I can share again. So my database is up and running and I'm connected. I don't have any data in there. Obviously, I have to do that, but
yeah. So mine is just spinning right now on the health check.
So the health check might even fail, and you don't listen to that. Don't believe it. It's fake news. That's the whole Mac issue. It'll say it's failing, but it's actually there.
When I do Lando MySQL, I can't connect, and so I was watching the logs for it, and it's just shut down complete. It looks like there's an error. The database crashed.
It's so weird because it's working for me, and we have the exact same machine, exact same YAML file. Well, I assume exact same YAML file.
I'm gonna see if I can just remove this volume and just start from scratch.
That's not a bad idea.
PHP Tech Home database, so volume RM. I mean, what could go wrong by deleting this volume?
No, just RM-RF.
Volume is in use. Lando stop.
Kevin, yes. I agree with you. I think Laravel definitely brought new people to PHP without question, and it became a new exciting thing to do in PHP. The same thing can be said back in the day for WordPress and Drupal, and there's always something that's that new exciting project that just really catches fire. The thing about Laravel that I always give it credit for, that I don't think enough people give it credit for, is that it was such a perfect storm, perfect timing. Taylor was not afraid of breaking things and moving quickly. So he got right on the bandwagon with Composer, with the PSRs, all the new stuff that PHP was doing. He was putting in his framework. He didn't care about backwards breaking changes. So yeah, it was good. And they definitely bring a lot of developers in. Yeah, the issue with Laravel, and it's a very real issue. I'm not saying big enterprises aren't using Laravel, and I'm not saying Laravel can't be used in an enterprise application, but that is until that's an area that's going to be a hard nut to crack with their current business structure. And we've talked about this several times in the past, but there's a lot that goes into these big company apps, and breaking changes is a big no-no, right? That's why Symfony moves so slow. Symfony understands what it's like to be in big businesses, not even enterprise, just big businesses, right? They understand, they can't have developers upgrading the framework every 6 months. I think Taylor's getting his head around that as well. He's even mentioned it, saying that they're being a lot more responsible with releases and breaking changes. You get it, John?
No, it's saying it's in use. I'm trying to figure out where it's in use at and stop it.
Lazy Docker, man. You need Lazy Docker.
I got it. Delete. Delete that. And then come over here and delete that. All right. Lando rebuild. Lando rebuild dashboard.
Yeah, I kind of get it from both ends. In the Laravel community, they say that I'm kind of like the enemy. I talk too much shit about Laravel, which I do. I mean, I'm not afraid to criticize things in Laravel, like a lot of people in the Laravel ecosystem you would never criticize. But at the same time, good.
I think it's similar to the Mac, right? You use the tools, but you're not a fanboy that sees no wrong.
Yeah.
You use Laravel, and you still use it, even though there's issues with it, just like there's issues with almost everything. It's the people that go so far to think it's perfect, or that you're doing it wrong if you're not using it.
Yeah. Laravel saved PHP. That's the one that bugs me a little bit. Or Laravel is PHP. It's like, oh, let's not go there. Trust me, there was a time, I'm sure WordPress thought the same thing, when WordPress dominated PHP and dominated the world, the internet. Yeah, everybody was on WordPress. Modesty is very important as a developer, I feel like. I know. Yeah, WordPress still is. I mean, WordPress is huge. WordPress has some luggage. What's up?
He brought up Zen Framework. Another reason to come to tech. MWAP's going to be there giving a presentation, and you can hang out with them and talk to them. Come on.
Yeah, Buttery. There
Failed
are a few
again.
chinks in that armor. So is it just failing on the health check?
Well, so once it gets past that and everything is up and running, when you look at the logs, you can see that it shut down. So it's not running. It's not a health check per se.
That's. I feel like I should resend you the file I have, or you need to reset head or something. Reset hard head.
What file are you talking
on
about?
the Lando file. You need there's something wrong with your Lando file because it works on mine. I got it up and running right now. I didn't even touch it.
I'm at. Hang on. Get status. Get diff.Lando. The only change between mine and yours is it's supposed to be 5.7 or 8. Are you on 5.7 or 8?
It's 5.7. I'm pretty sure.
That's probably why.
Right. So 8 will require you to have a root password, and I think that's part of the issue with the recipe in Laravel. It doesn't. So yeah, that might be the issue. We need to get to 8 though. I want to try to start working away from seeing if MySQL 8 is a strong enough replacement for Couch if we use it correctly. Don't tell the people at work.
I think there's gonna be use cases, right? When it comes to the mobile side, having that PouchDB local version of it where it automatically stays in sync. Yeah, that was it. I must have been trying something in Lando back on my version,
Mhm.
and I was having trouble, so I tried the ARM, but I assumed 8. So
Reasonable. That's a reasonable assumption.
All right,
Can't
so
fault you for that.
that's up and running now. So I'll
Okay,
reseed with that database you gave me, and then work on the webhook.
Cool. Oh, you're gonna do that. You're gonna do that coding.
I mean, I've got the code. I gave it to you.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
You gave me a
implementing
little
it.
snippet. You keep talking about. I just saw a little snippet. You didn't give me a lot of code.
That's all it
Was
is. You need a route. You need to add it to the routes, and then in that if statement, once it's valid, create
What?
the record, right? What am I missing?
What am I missing? All right. What's the hash? What's the hash you're using? What's that for?
So they send us the payload. So
Yeah.
you have the key, and I said that should be stored somewhere else.
Yeah.
You get
Right,
the JSON.
obviously.
However you get the JSON out of Laravel.
Yeah.
The signature, you get the Tito signature out of the header. And then the rest of that is just making sure that what they sent you matches what you should have got. And then once it's valid, you're good. Create the record, and
Oh, is that why you base 64 that piece? Because that's what matches up with expected signature.
so right. So Tito will do the signature, and then they base 64 code the
Then you
results.
decode it.
You decode it, and
Okay.
then you're matching the hashes
from the key.
So they sign it with your key.
So that's why you do the hash there.
Right. So you rehash it, and then you compare the two hashes.
I see. So that's the endpoint they're hitting to us, right? They're sending us.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty simple.
Yep. But I'm up and running now, so I will get that.
There's a config file tech.config. You can put that in there and add it to the .env file if you want to be super.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Cool.
All right, cool, man. Did you see I moved Mux into its own service?
I have not. I haven't actually looked through any of the code yet.
Yeah, it's its own little service provider. All right, man.
Lando.
Well,
yeah,
I got things to do. Like I said, I'll be offline tomorrow morning as I do my appointment. Oh, you know
All right,
what?
hope
Though?
it goes well.
I do need to go to storage because one of our clients is trying to get their phones back. They want to issue new phones, and I think mine is in storage. I don't know if I have storage key. I know you gave me one. I got to find it.
Okay, let me know. I'll meet you up there.
Okay, I'll let you know if I end up doing this. See how I feel after the injections, I guess.
Cool.
All
Thanks
right,
everyone for
everybody,
hanging out with us.
Hanging out with us. Cool. Later.